This episode will be completely taken out of context. Welcome to the Fact Check This podcast. All right, Fact Check This podcast, episode 31, and it is Inauguration Day, and that means that according to the news, on day one, Biden is going to move to completely undo Trump's legacy. I'm just going to run through this list here, and then we'll look at that. So President-elect Joseph R. Biden Jr. will unleash a full-scale assault on his predecessor's legacy on Wednesday, acting hours after taking the oath of office to sweep aside President Trump's pandemic response, reverse his environmental agenda, tear down his anti-immigration policies, bolster the sluggish economy recovery, and restore federal efforts aimed at promoting diversity. So that means by the end of the day today, we will have ended the war on drugs. All of the immigrants will have been released from the cages that they're being detained in. We're going to open up everything again. We'll put an end to all of these draconian lockdowns and the tyrannical dictates of the government that are currently in place. And it says nothing about ending foreign wars, so they didn't even give the pretense of that. We already know that Joe Biden's a war hawk. There's 0% chance that any of that stuff's going to end. So yeah, I mean, by the end of the day, we're going to have a perfect country to live in. Absolutely perfect. Nothing's going to be wrong ever again, right? Because Joe Biden's going to fix everything that Trump did over the last 4 years that made it terrible. Never mind that, Obama did a lot of the same stuff for 8 years prior to that. Trump spent 4 years fighting tooth and nail against the establishment at every turn and really accomplished jack shit. Like, for all this acting like Trump did anything, he didn't do anything. He didn't do a thing. Like, nothing that wasn't already being done anyway. He ran his mouth a bunch and pissed people off. That's it. That's the Trump legacy, is run your mouth and act like a moron. And it's insane to the thought that anything is going to change with Joe Biden. Like, I cannot fathom what's going to change. You know what is going to change? What you're about to start seeing coming in full force, in full effect, is going to be the total police state. As if we didn't already live in a pretty heavily policed state anyway. We are about to see that ramp up to the nth degree, because now they have to lock down, or they have to crack down on anybody with any level of dissenting thought. You can't disagree with the cathedral on anything, or they will just silence you. We're already seeing it all over Facebook and Twitter. Anybody who doesn't agree with the leftist agenda, and I'm pretty sure I talked about it Monday, but anybody who doesn't agree with the leftist agenda is getting silenced, they're getting removed, they're getting deplatformed, they're getting demonetized, everything. And in some cases, they've come back and they've restored some of those people's access to their websites, to their pages, to stuff like that. But overwhelmingly, it is just a total purge of anyone who doesn't want to get on board. And that's what you're going to see more of. I mean, 65,000 troops at the U.S. Capitol today for the inauguration. There will be more troops there than there will be just regular civilians to attend the inauguration. I don't think they're even letting anybody in. And the troops have been vetted to make sure they don't have any Trump supporters in the troops. Like, peace and unity. Like, it's time to heal America. Y'all fucking suck at healing and peace and unity. Like, I don't think these words mean what you think they mean. Unity and healing does not mean you browbeat into us whatever you think we should believe. It means we all just get along and leave each other alone. And I can do me and you can do you, and we don't have to interact with each other, and we don't have to fight with each other over it. That's not what it means for these leftists. Like, it means we're going to make sure that you toe the line and you believe what we want you to believe, and you say the things that we want you to say, and you do the things that we want you to do. And if you don't get on board with any of that and you don't do any of those things, then you are an enemy of the state, and we're going to treat you as such. Johnny talked about it on Peddling Fiction at the end of the week last week. Brian McWilliams talked about it on Electric Liberty Land with the Lions of Liberty show today. This stuff it's not unprecedented globally. There are plenty of instances of it already having been done, all through communist regimes, and that's what's coming here. Like, they are fully getting ready to start putting us in indoctrination camps if we refuse to agree with whatever the corporate narrative is that's being run by our benevolent overlords. That's what it really comes down to. I don't have a whole lot else to say on the matter today. Like, it's Inauguration Day, and I may do another episode tomorrow afternoon. Like, I'm gonna keep this one relatively short, and I may do another short one tomorrow afternoon, after the inauguration, and once we do start to see what some of the first steps of all of this are. But like, Biden's transition team and all of his cabinet appointments, like, he's got this insanely diverse group that's all they talk about, is how diverse the group is that he's appointing to these positions. They are all just horrible fucking human beings. Like, everything about them is terrible, and the policies that they are going to come in and bring are terrible. It's all terrible. Like, the CEO of Raytheon, I mean, come on. The people that he's putting in position they have a track record, a proven track record of being horrible for the economy, and especially horrible for foreign countries that we just bomb into oblivion. And these are the people that he's like, I don't give a shit how diverse his cabinet is, when his cabinet is fully comprised of that level of horrible. Whew. We need to look at some, we need to look at judge people based on their content of character, not on their gender and color of skin. You want to actually promote equality? Let's start looking at people for their track record and look at their resume, not at their pronouns in their bio and the color of their skin. Like, I am not optimistic for a Joe Biden presidency, other than I think a Joe Biden presidency will bring about the end of the United States as we currently know it. And in other news, Trump pardoned a whole bunch of people. What was the total count? 143 people in a late night pardon blast. And of those people, we got Edward Snowden, Julian Assange, and Ross Ulbricht, all right off the top. Wait, no, not at all. He pardoned fucking Steve Bannon and former Detroit Mayor Kwame Kilpatrick and some dude that, like, legitimately did some pretty awful shit. It's more of the same with the pardons. I mean, every round of pardons that Trump has done so far with all of this, not gonna say every. So there were a number of nonviolent drug offenders who had their sentences commuted a couple of years ago. So I guess in that sense, Trump did accomplish at least a little bit of a something and do something good at one point. But beyond that, like every one of these pardons that he's done over the last 2 months of his lame duck presidency, they've all just been terrible. Like he hasn't pardoned anybody that really deserved it. He hasn't pardoned anybody that would like change things, that would prove that he was draining the swamp, that would prove that he was standing against the establishment, that would do anything to accomplish anything like that. It's all just fucking political theater. Like it's all just silly, and that's what everything about this is. It's all theater. Like we are being manipulated, we are being used, and we are being played consistently by those in power. The ones in power are going to keep themselves in power, and they are going to continue to move the needle and change things and rig things and fix things to fit whatever narrative it is that they need. They're not going to actually let anything happen that's going to produce any legitimate change or anything positive. You see it with every president. At the end of their term, they pardon or commute the sentences of or offer clemency to all of these different people, and all of the people that they do this stuff for, they're all politically connected in some way. Like they're all people that have some level of connection to whoever the president is, or the outgoing president is. They were a campaign contributor, or they were a supporter, or as somebody that talked nice about them, or whatever. Like they never actually do anything meaningful, and that's just the way government is. Like it's all platitudes and acting. Shoot, you've seen speaking of acting, like you've seen the pictures of the National Guard standing around the Capitol that they don't have clips in their guns. The whole thing is they're propping it up for show to dissuade people, and eventually their show of force is going to lose its. It's the boy that cried wolf. Like he cried wolf enough that everybody stopped believing him, and the government has used these talking points over and over and over again to the point that nobody is believing it anymore. And that's been a big theme of the last 4 years. And a lot of that was brought on by Trump. But that's been a big theme, is you're starting to see people turn away from all of those media sources, all of those political talking points. People are starting to get tired of it, and people are starting to move away from it because it's all just bullshit, and nobody really has time for that or cares for that anymore. I don't know. It's going to be interesting going forward. I did want to hit on something that I had thought about since the last episode, and it was something that I've talked about a little bit, is the whole Trump being deplatformed. Like Twitter was a sprawling company. Like they were not succeeding prior to Trump's presidency. Their stock price had hit an all-time low back in, I think it was 14 or 15. It might have been in 15. Their stock price hit like an all-time low. They were making changes to their site and everything. Like they added, it used to be whatever, you get the 240 characters or whatever. It used to be less than that. They changed that so that you could say a little bit more. They were making adjustments to things. They were changing things. They were trying new things because as a company they were failing. People just didn't give a shit about Twitter. Like, people were leaving Twitter. It wasn't important. It wasn't valuable. It was just a waste of time thing to do. And then Trump comes along, and Trump is, the insane tweeter that he was. And that propelled Twitter back into huge relevance and really pushed it really pushed them forward. And then what you've seen in the last week since they deplatformed Trump, actually, let me pull it up, because their stock has just like dumped off significantly. It has been trending downward pretty much daily for like the last week and a half, ever since they kicked off Trump and started just banning, like completely purging out anybody that has a dissenting opinion. It has just dropped off. So it's getting pretty bad. They're currently back down to the lowest they've been since, let's see. They're the lowest they've been since October or November. Like, it had gone up. It had been doing well since the markets and everything rebounded. And it has consistently just fallen for the last 3 weeks. So it's and most of the media companies, the big tech companies, that's been kind of a trend here since all of this kind of happened, is their stock price has taken a hit. So if you see a massive reversal of the of all the bans and removing people and purging the dissenting voices, it won't have anything to do with First Amendment rights. It won't have anything to do with them reconsidering and doing the right thing. It'll be because they lost too much money and they realized that that's not a tenable business strategy going forward. You got to remember, the almighty dollar rules everything, even if it is just worthless paper. That'll be the wrap for today. I hope everybody has a good one. We'll catch y'all next week. Maybe tomorrow. We'll see how Inauguration Day goes. I may do a short one tomorrow just to talk about any of that. That'd be in the afternoon. I got to work in the morning. But we'll see how it goes. In the meantime, hope everybody has a good day, and I will catch you next time.